before I start, there's 7 minutes of my book for free on YouTube. I'll put the link below. So David Lynch has electricity, puts it in everything. And he always makes the outside inside, like horses inside, rain inside. There's things that he does that you go, that's so David Lynch. And then Michael Leunig, who I love, he always put a moon in his works, and I loved. It's just like it became like his signature. The moon became. You just knew it was his work. He's an Australian cartoonist who I loved. Died 2 years ago. David Lynch died over a year ago. It was weird. They're at the same age. And I remember in my 20s when I was doing more cartoons and comics, I put a moon in my work because I thought maybe if I put a moon in my little comics, it'll borrow the interestingness of Michael Leunig's moon. And I thought, and so I did it once, and I thought it doesn't work. It's not his moon. It's so funny how symbols can be powered by consistent use of symbols and idiosyncratic things are nothing on their own. David Lynch's electricity, Michael Leunig's moon, they're ubiquitous, but they charge them with their own vibe. And I was always like, how do I get my moon? How do I get my electricity? Or how do I get... There's so many other artists that I loved, and they had these little things they do. I was like, where's mine? And I gave up. Eventually I just gave up. I didn't know. And I just kept making stuff and pushing through, and I sort of had an idea of what I liked and my obsessions of what I did and didn't like. Like Nick Pizzolatto, is from Writer of True Detective, talked about his obsession with time. And I just kept making stuff until certain things started to arrive. I'd forgotten it. I kept making stuff, and I put that aside, these little signature things that make my stuff. And I just put it aside, and I just kept writing. And the first thing that I did out of necessity for posting on Instagram was making I had a typewriter that was given to me 15 years ago. I thought, I'm just going to use it. It's a little bit hipster. I'm just going to use it. And there's so much typewriter poetry. Maybe I can just make mine all caps, like shouty caps. At least if I just do that with everything, at least it's mine. So I did that only because out of necessity to go, oh, well, everyone's doing sentence case, I'll just do this. So it wasn't really it was a kind of a negative, a decision made in the negative. So it wasn't really something that I did because I loved doing it. But then I started to think, oh, maybe it kind of suits my voice. This shoutiness, this strident, shouty, kind of voice with sometimes a bit of conviction, and sometimes with a bit of self-reflection. I thought, I'm just going to keep doing it. It's fun, and then it sort of stuck. I kept going with it, but then that wasn't really what made my stuff. And it was only in the last week I started noticing patterns that I'd been doing for a long time. Like words like stupid, words like beautiful. They were like tiny crutches. I saw them as words that I'd lazily reach for when I had nothing else. I thought, I'll just chuck that in, beautiful or stupid or life. There's kind of three words that I just use almost out of laziness. And it's through all my stuff. And like I couldn't. I'm terrible at crossword puzzles. I'm really bad at synonyms, and so I often paint in primary colours with words, and so yeah, these words sort of jumped out at me this week, and I realised I put them in everything. They're kind of a crutch that I use, but they're mine. They're like, I started seeing. I thought, these words that I saw as kind of a hindrance and kind of laziness were actually what makes my stuff. And I was kind of doing it in the peripheral the whole time. And it's funny how the relationship with those words have now consciously changed from being laziness to, oh, that's me. that's my stuff. And so now I'm conscious of it. Now I'm sort of like, oh no, do I keep using those words, beautiful and stupid and life? Like, just that they've become, like, on their own, those words are kind of nothing words. In the same way, electricity is not nothing, but electricity was for David Lynch, and the moon, which isn't nothing, but it's also, he made it his own moon. Is like a lunar moon was a lunar moon. It wasn't the moon in the sky. But yeah, these words happened by accident, and they happened. My relationship with them changed from one of, they made me feel like a terrible writer. I thought, I just keep using them. And now because I've used them so much and they're surrounded by so many other ideas, it's like, because they're surrounded by all these different ideas, they charge with something that belongs to me. So now I've got the in my own kind of weird way. So I've got my own weird conscious relationship with them now. I'm not sure whether to start using them like put them into a jar on my recipe thing. That's the danger too of starting to see things like a recipe for a poem or a recipe for an idea. But it's useful to know that now I have these things, like tools, like in a tool shed, the white paint of a hammer the hammer can sit there. With the hammer is my caps, shouty caps. But now I've got, maybe a lathe and a jigsaw to make other stuff. But yeah, it's funny, these little symbols and little idiosyncrasies we have that are often born out of our failings. Well, for me, they were, because I didn't have I read a lot, but I still paint with a small vocab. I've just got a really bad memory, and my head does different things. It's not a perfect craftsmanship. I'm not a perfect craftsmanship when it comes to writing, and I've always had bad grammar. Anyway, but yeah, it's the stuff that exists in your peripheral that you're doing kind of out of a failing or unconsciously. That's actually you. That's you. That's yours. And I love that. It's the stuff that I was reaching for deliberately that was not mine. It felt like trying to unlock a house with the wrong key for years, like borrowing. Like I did. I learned to write and draw cartoons by studying who I loved, and even writing stuff like them in my 20s, 30s, even up until early 40s. I'm 50 now, but it just kept fading. I've heard the expression, you just keep writing until you write yourself into your own voice. And I've kind of talked about this before. Yeah, just letting stuff happen and existing long enough for it to happen. That's all it is. I always feel like just writing is just existing for a long enough time until something kind of feels right by accident. This beautiful, stupid life. That's my 3 words. They could be a book one day. Beautiful, stupid life. Maybe. If you'd like to leave a comment on YouTube or a star rating on Spotify or Apple or wherever you're listening to this, I'd love that.